Hey everyone, my name is Aaron Waters. I'm the CEO of a company called LeadHub. Currently, I am the forum chair and president-elect for an entrepreneurs organization called EO here in the San Antonio chapter. So I did this presentation for our local chapter this week and thought it'd be wise to just re-record it and share it out there. It's really just about AI basics. I am not an AI expert. I use it in my daily life, but I can't tell you how the algorithms work or how OpenAI came to be. And what I'm really passionate about, though, is helping people understand how you can use it in your daily life. But more importantly, at least from my perspective, is understanding who's in control behind it, who the major players are, what kind of tools can be used, and just giving a brief overview of it. So I'm using a slide deck called Tome.app. This is the first time I've actually ever used it, but it's an AI based slide deck. It'll create imagery and create slides based on questions or prompts that you put into it. It's not perfect, especially if you're lazy, like I'm sometimes am, and just want to do one prompt and have it work. So you can see, like, even this image is using Dolly, which is an AI tool that can create images based on what you prompt it to do. So there'll be some awkward or not that cool images in here, but it's because I just wanted to leave it to show you this is where the state of AI is today to a certain perspective. So we'll go through here. Again, I wanted to talk to people about how you can implement it in your daily life. And fun, I'll probably be moving my screen around a little bit, or at least my camera. So the agenda for today is just an overview of AI, the current state of AI, the future of AI, or at least as I see it, and then how I use AI in my daily life. And then we'll probably scrap the Q&A, but if anything comes to mind, I'll use that to rehash what the people brought me in the EO presentation. So this is an example of Tome, and I really just like to use this to show you if you're lazy with AI, this is the kind of stuff you're going to get. So as you can see in this video here, I wrote create a slide that explains what an API is at a 5th grade reading level. The slide deck should include an image showcasing an API, and it'll go and populate it. And this is a slide we'll talk about here later on. So as you can see, it gave me what is an API on the left-hand side with a very brief description, and then it gave me an image that Dolly created basically showing what an API is. And so it's that intermediary between two pieces of technology, and we'll dive into that here a little bit later. This is another AI fail. I just love to pour cold water on this fire here, but I also asked for Tome to create a slide that introduced me. I gave it some information about myself, and I did not ask for it to put an image in there, but it generated this fun image of myself with an interesting looking little eye, and I think my hand might have 6 fingers. It's fantastic. That is not indicative of how I really am, but I got 2 more slides on this showing that this was the original information. Introducing Aaron Waters. I'm the CEO of LeadHub and the current forum chair for EO San Antonio. I have an extensive background in business management and is passionate about helping entrepreneurs reach their goals. True. So what I did is I then highlighted on the left the text here, and I asked it from a prompt to make it a little bit more professional. So then it rewrote it. Presenting Aaron Waters. Aaron Waters is the head of LeadHub and the chairperson. That sounds way more high and lofty for EO San Antonio presently. I've got a wide-ranging experience in business direction, and apparently I am zealous about aiding entrepreneurs attain their aspirations. So, wow, the language, the bar went up a level here. Lastly, I asked it to basically focus in on my professionalism and make me an expert in the space, and so it rewrote it. That I'm a leader in the business world, currently serving as the head of LeadHub and the chairperson for EO San Antonio. Now I've got a wealth of knowledge and experience in the business sector, and I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs reach their goals. And then it's an invitation about how I can help your business succeed. So I just thought it was interesting that as you continue to prompt it, and this is kind of the core of AI and where it is right now today, especially with Chat GPT, is it's all about how do you prompt, how do you refine. If you just have one prompt and you expect it to spit out an answer that you're going to copy and paste into your email or into your slide deck, you're sorely mistaken. You need to really teach the AI how you communicate and how you word things, and then it'll actually get better over time. So that's my introduction slide deck. Something I didn't do initially that I think would be relevant here is talk a little bit about Chat GPT, because I will be talking about Chat GPT a lot. Chat GPT is OpenAI's basically one of the first tools that's open to the public that is really seen as AI. And it's basically where it's using the language interface of everything across the web before September of 2021. And you can have chats and ask it questions, and it's going to basically give you responses and based on your prompts using the breadth of the internet. So it's been really taking the world by storm here. We'll actually get into some real live use cases on it. All right, so AI defined, and I use this because this is another slide that I built created with Tome. So I prompted it to show me one on the left-hand side of an expert level explanation of what AI is. On the right-hand side, I wanted an elementary level. And you can see here, it's got even images that show more of an expert level and an elementary level. And just the two differences in here, on the left side, it refers to the development of intelligent machines that can perform tasks that would typically require human intelligence to complete. It involves the use of algorithms and other techniques such as machine learning, that's the key word there, natural language processing, computer vision, robotics, to enable machines to learn from experience, recognize patterns, and take action. It's really important to talk about that machine learning as a core concept with AI. You can give the data points and put in as much feedback as you want, but the overall goal of AI is that it's continuing to learn. The elementary version here is AI stands for artificial intelligence. And so something you can even see here is the sentences are shorter. You can connect a little bit better with some of the words and terms they're using. So we'll talk about that. It means making computers and machines smart. So using the word smart here. On the other side, using the word intelligent on the expert level. So they can do things that normally need human intelligence. For example, AI can help a computer recognize your voice or your face, understand what you're saying, or even play games like chess or Go. It's like teaching a robot to learn and think like a human. So you can see how it really kind of, I don't want to say dumbed it down, but dumbed it down a little bit. Coming on here, I thought it was important, from my perspective, people don't talk about this a lot, but we've been using AI for years. I mean, from my perspective, Google Maps is a key part of AI because it's using multiple data points to give you the best route to get you from point A to point B. And so realistically, it's been using machine learning for a while, and we've been using that right here in our mobile device. Google Search, there's a lot of algorithms built into Google Search, and of course DuckDuckGo and all the other search algorithms, but there is AI as a component there for machine learning. And then ads. Here at LeadHub, we do use Performance Max a lot for some of our campaigns where a client is really well branded. It helps because we're able to really blend the branded and the search and display networks to really find the right customer at the right time. And so as much as we want to use our manual pay-per-click strategies where we're setting the bid, what we've learned for a lot of clients, especially the larger ones, is PMax is going to bring in a higher number of conversions at a lower cost. And so using the algorithm instead of fighting the algorithm within Google Search, we've seen really good cost per acquisitions across our clients. Then as we go into some others, you got Microsoft, the AI by Azure. So they've had AI in their workspace for a while. And then if you go into navigation apps, like I mentioned, rideshare apps, even facial recognition. I know it was really popular on the Instagram side before they did the facial lock recognition, all on Instagram, Snapchat, all these the social media apps. Those filters where you can do really interesting things with your face and all of a sudden you look like a dog, or you've got flowers on your head or something like that. My 2.5-year-old loves them. All of that can be AI because it's using machine learning and data points to change the way that your face looks. And so we've been using AI for quite a while here. It just hasn't been at this level of the Chat GPT threatening the white collar workspace as much as we've seen before. I thought that this was a really cool graph to talk about because in our one of our EO chats, one of the members shared this, and here on this axis we've got your confidence level in Chat GPT is up here at 100% and down here at 0, and then your knowledge of Chat GPT is a 0 all the way up to 100 over here, or enough knowledge. So initially, and this is where I've seen a lot of people get into it initially and just be floored of, wow, it's able to answer all my questions. It's amazing. Finally, something that makes me feel like a Superman. And over here it says like a superhuman. But really, it's like, man, I can be a grill master, a plumber, an HVAC technician. I can be whatever I want by asking the right prompts on how to solve these problems. So then, as you start to get a little bit further into Chat GPT, you kind of get into this, okay, wait a minute, I'm starting to realize maybe it's not 100% accurate. There are a lot of different answers out there. It's kind of that fallacy that everybody wants to know, what's the silver bullet or the one right way to do things. Unfortunately, in life, there's not always one right way. There are a lot of ways to do things and have success. Then down here at the bottom of this curve, where you really start to get some knowledge, but your confidence is waning, it's basically, and you're reading a lot of articles probably now about Chat GPT not being correct, or it has bias natively in it. But basically, this is where I have heard a lot of people start to get frustrated with Chat GPT, but occasionally I'm getting wrong answers. My sister is a surgeon, and she's prompted it a few times to find out where it's going to answer things and if it's actually in alignment with what she's learned. And oftentimes it's not, because again, it's a language model. It is not an expert. Chat GPT is not an expert in this wide breadth of the whole world. What it is it's using all of the data on the internet from before September 2021 to help source answers. And so based on peer-reviewed studies, I mean, you could see online how many studies that disagree with each other, and it's up to Chat GPT now and the way we ask questions to help us answer these questions in the right way. So I think even just understanding that we as humans don't have the right answer about all these things that are going on in our lives, how is Chat GPT going to be the gold standard, if you will? But we'll get into it here. Then you start to get a little bit more knowledgeable, and yeah, hey, it doesn't give me a precise answer. It can't be trusted when the answer, it has to be perfect. But really where it's ready right now, and when you have enough knowledge and you get more confidence, is now I understand where the real value is. It can definitely give my productivity a boost, but it can get things wrong. Chat GPT is a tool to be used. AI is a tool to be used, but it's not going to do all of my homework for me. So coming in here, I am fascinated by this part of AI, and one of the things as probably a pessimist, and I would like to say in my optimistic mindset that I'm a realist, but who owns what and the power struggles behind AI is equally as important to what AI can do for us. And so I think understanding where the data points are coming from is super important. And then also the more things change, the more they stay the same. So as we have Microsoft and Google and Meta and some of these massive social companies that are really in a monopolistic stronghold of our economy and kind of how we're accessing the internet, it's important to know, if I'm using ChatGPT, is that a Microsoft product? Is it a Google product? Because we need to know where the data is coming from, and as we become more reliant upon it, who's making money off of us? Where's our data? And so anyway, I'll get off my grandstand there, but it's really important to know that the OpenAI, it was really built with this free open source version of, we wanted to provide this amazing value to the world, and they have. But now with Microsoft backing it with billions, they're integrating it into Microsoft Teams and a lot of the Microsoft products. I've got a slide here about the future of AI, and I wish I would have put this in here, but the little paperclip in your Microsoft Word, I mean, that's where we're headed. Like, that was a great idea back in the day of the paperclip on your Microsoft Word was showing you how to use Microsoft Word properly. Well, this is really it in the full version. Is ChatGPT is the paperclip helping you edit your papers, helping you format everything, even writing content for you and restructuring. So keep going off slides, but let me get back into the slides here. So Chat GPT interacts as a conversational, answers follow-up questions, admits its mistakes, and really what it's starting to do a lot is it's really starting to preface its answers with, hey, full understanding, I'm just a language model. So if I get this wrong, please don't sue me. So you're starting to see over the last month, really, and this is February 26th of 2023, you're starting to see a lot of prefacing and, hey, I'm not this, I'm not a grill master, but if I were, this is how I would grill a ribeye to perfection. So DALL-E 2 is the newer AI system that's creating images. The images that are created in this slide deck, not this one right here, but most of the images in here have been created from DALL-E 2, especially the ones of my face that and my weird hand. That was created with DALL-E. And then GPT-3 is an autoregressive language model using deep learning. From my understanding, GPT-3 is the next version of Chat GPT with even more data points and machine learning baked into it. So then we go to Google, and this is where that power struggle comes into play. So when Microsoft really started backing Chat GPT, Google had to come out. That's where Bard, Lambda should be coming out here in Q3 was the idea of 2023, but they really pushed Bard out very quickly. So they've already been using AI obviously for years, but now they're starting to push it out to the front and center because they dominate search, and Bing is using their Chat GPT model in search, and Google has to keep up. They got to start revealing what they got. I mean, and technically when you think about it, like Amazon has Alexa, Apple has Siri. I don't want to say the name because my computer, my phone, and my iPad will all probably trigger something. But between those, we already have AI in our hands. And so I see this, and we'll talk about it again with the future, but I can't stop from jumping ahead. But realistically, I see in our phones being the AI Q&A. And instead of us asking Siri to search us for the best restaurant in the city, and then it pulls up search results, it's likely just going to start spitting out results to you and telling you which ones. So another one that I want to talk about, and I'll actually hit that a little bit more later in the presentation here. Midjourney. Midjourney is really a next level art generation tool, and as me not being an artist, I actually was talking to Mario here. He's a New Yorker in our EO Entrepreneurs Organization, and he wrote a book using Chat GPT. So however you want to say it, he prompted a book and Chat GPT wrote it, or he wrote it using Chat GPT. Called Disrupting Tax and How Technology is Transforming the Way We Prepare Taxes. And he said he used a ton of images from Midjourney. It's 370 pages that he crafted, and it is coming out, I believe, here in March is what he said when he was publishing it. But here are some of the images that were created using Midjourney. All right, so here's that API slide that looked really, really cool. And here's the definition of this. That an API is a set of instructions that helps two pieces of software communicate with each other. It can be used to help websites share information and work together more easily. I actually liked the definitions that I got from ChatGPT after prompting it. And I asked it for it to tell me as if I was a 5th grade reading level, I believe, on this one. It said, APIs are important because they help different computer programs work together and share information, which makes it easier to build new programs and tools. For example, if you use a weather app on your phone, the app needs to get the weather information from a source like a weather website. The app uses an API to ask for weather information it needs, and the API responds. So, with the APIs, if you've ever heard of like Zapier is a massive middleware program where what they do is their developers will take, let's say, HubSpot, get access to the HubSpot API, and then they'll get access to maybe Google Sheets. And so if you want to pull data from HubSpot and push it into Google Sheets, you're using APIs from HubSpot and from Google Sheets, and you're pushing and pulling data back and forth. And so we've used Zapier to build a Yelp autoresponder here at LeadHub. We have access to the Yelp API tool, And basically, anytime a client of ours gets a message from Yelp, we can push back a response. And we're now testing using Chat GPT on how to respond back into Yelp. We also have a really cool example of something I did here for Google reviews. But that's basically what APIs are, is you're accessing one database, pulling or pushing data into it or from it, and then putting it into a different one. It's just making it very open and accessible. Let's go back in here, and I'm going to dance around again. So the future of AI, this is a really interesting article from Sequoia. Talks about basically from pre-2020 all the way to 2030 of what they believe from the first attempts of AI to almost being ready to launch and monetize, and then being ready for the prime time. So as you can see, text, before 2020, it was like spam detection, translations, basic Q&As. It was in testing mode. Then in 2020, it started writing basic copy. 2022, longer forms. And now in 2023, it's really getting good. You can write, like I mentioned, a whole book, a 300-page book using Chat GPT. Now when you look at code, kind of in the same way, one line autocomplete, then it started actually getting close about multi-line generation, then it gets more accurate in 2022, and now as of 2023, more language, more verticals. We've actually written a Python script basically accessing QuickBooks integration or QuickBooks APIs using ChatGPT. And then here in the future, I probably should have talked about 2025 and 2030. From a text standpoint, by 2025, the expectation is that the text base is going to be better than what humans can write. And by 2030, final drafts will be better than humans. They're professional writers. So I guess this talks about drafts are going to be better than the human average, and then here professionals. I actually think the way technology adapts, it's going to be a lot quicker than 2025 and 2030. But they did the research, they did all the hard work. So who am I to disagree with it? I just will not be surprised if that's where we're at a lot quicker. Code, same thing. And then images, and I'll kind of speed through here, but basically images aren't really ready yet. By 2025, it's probably going to be closer to 2024, but they're right now you can use landing pages, like one-click landing page designs, and it'll deploy it, but they're pretty rough. But I've seen, as I say that, I want to be the negative guy, but also on the positive, I've seen some mind-blowing things. There was one AI tool that I saw on Instagram that they basically put every country across the world as a supervillain, and it had all these cool images about, the Japanese one, and then they had a sword and would look more like a samurai, and then like the States looked like Joker, and anyway, it was a really cool thing that I thought was neat. Then the video 3D gaming, still way away from AI being able to draft it all, but speed kills, and with AI, it's going to get there a lot quicker than we expect. So the threat, this is something I'm passionate about, coming from an SEO background. People don't really talk about this, but, Rand Fishkin from Moz back in 2012, 2013, he went on an attack against Google, and a lot of SEOs did, because the knowledge graph that they rolled out really killed a bunch of websites. And so there was a website called something along the lines of like, what is your net worth, or what's the net worth, or something like that, where they had built out this robust website that if you want to know the net worth of any celebrity out there, it would be able to tell you it. Well, it was a website that was the whole business, so the only way they made money was by selling ads on their website. Well, when Google released the knowledge graph, Google's premise is basically that we don't owe it to the website to send traffic to the website. Google's job is to give the best answer to the question that the consumer is asking. So from Google's perspective, I don't care about sending traffic to this net worth website if you're looking for Floyd Mayweather's net worth. You should be able to see it on the Google search pages. And so that's what they did. Google used all the data out there that was basically put out on the web to build up the entire web. Google then scraped that data, and just like you see here, how tall is Tiger Woods? I don't have to visit the websites that did the data to tell us that Tiger Woods is 6'1". You can just get that answer on Google. And the reason I bring this up is, the threat here is that basically you may not even need to get search results if you're asking for what's the best HVAC company in San Antonio. Chat GPT or SIRI or Alexa or whatever the AI is that's in your mobile device may just start giving you one answer. And that's why it's important to understand, where's that answer coming from? Why are you getting that response? Because there are a ton of great HVAC companies in San Antonio. I believe there are like 450 total. And this is something that you've got to understand. If I'm only going to get one or two results, you always want to know where that's coming from. On the flip side, I don't know how Google's going to monetize that, because in the long run, Google search is really what helps keep them afloat by revenue. So it's not like they're going to cut their legs out from under them. It's going to be a different tool like a DuckDuckGo or some third party that wants to provide answers like that will really cut into Google's search share. So coming through here. All right, I've got some use cases, and I'll probably have to pause this and go into my Chat GPT window here to make sure I'm pulling them up properly. So started really basic here, like how do I grill a ribeye to perfection? And I'm going to go ahead and show this video here, and we'll get a live read of what Chat GPT looks like. So what I'd first told it, let me pause it. What I first told it to do was act as a grill master using a propane grill to grill a ribeye. What are some things to know about buying the perfect ribeye? So first and foremost, I'm telling ChatGPT how to act. I want it to think as if it's a grill master. I don't want just it to be a data or a language tool. So this is that preface that I mentioned of, okay, the first response I get here is, as an AI language model, I'm not able to physically grill a ribeye or offer practical cooking advice, but I can provide you with some general tips on buying the perfect ribeye. Again, it's the out. Excuse me if I lead you in the wrong direction. This is just some general tips. So, it talks about look for marbling, choosing the right grade, talking about the thickness, consider the bone and all that, and then looking at, shop at a reputable butcher or specialty meat market. Well, which one do you recommend, Microsoft or ChatGPT? Then if we keep going here, you'll see I try to refine it and say, all right, great. After purchasing it, what would the next steps be in order for me to grill it to perfection? So then it comes down and it says, preheat your propane grill, 10 to 15 minutes, season it. It gives me some great seasonings for the ribeye. It tells me to lower the heat after you sear it 2 to 3 minutes. Then I know nothing about wine. So then I asked it, well, what wine and sides pair best with a ribeye? So it gives me some good wine pairings. It doesn't preface that it's not a sommelier, or I can never communicate that word well, but it's no wine expert by any means. So then I ask it at the very end, great, well, I'm a dummy. Give me a whole grocery list on what I need to buy. And then it's going to spit out a grocery list for me. And it's also going to say I might not have to buy everything. I might have some of this in my home. But another next level move, that if you get a list like this, especially if it's more of like a table based, end it with, great, now can you put this in a table sorted by type of a product? So you can say put the vegetables together, put the meats together, put the seasonings together, and it'll put it in a table format for you to copy and paste into Excel. I'm a spreadsheet guy. So another one here, full 7-day meal plan with daily macros of 200 grams of protein, 180 grams of carbs, and 50 grams of fat. I'm going to pause and go find this one. All right, so now we're in my Chat GPT, and I really only prompted it one time, and I said, act as a meal planner, full 7-day meal plan with daily macros of 200 grams of protein, 180 grams of carbs, and 50 grams of fat. This is typically what I was trying to eat back when I was following some of the Jim Stepani plans, trying to gain size. Never worked because I couldn't eat this much. But day one, breakfast, scrambled eggs, 3 eggs, holy smokes, with spinach, 1 cup of spinach in the morning, wow, whole wheat toast, 2 slices, and avocado. Lunch, grilled chicken, 4 ounces, so on, salmon. Man, I'm eating good. I got eggs, I got grilled chicken and salmon. And then in the evening, which is very common, especially in like bodybuilding programs, have some Greek yogurt with some blueberries at the end of the night. So you get some of that slow digesting carbs. You don't really care about all this stuff. You can put it in on how you guys eat with your diet. But let's see if I can write a follow-up prompt and say, great, can you put this in a table format? And it only gave me 4 days because I think I cut it off during the presentation. But so as you can see, it's breaking it into this really, really nice table for me to format it. I've used the same thing with, I don't love making plans for traveling, but my wife does. And so as she's rattling off ideas for our vacation to DC, I was actually building out a table in a full format of what Chat GPT would recommend we do. And as she's telling me all the things she wants to do, I just sent her over a screenshot. And oddly enough, it was a lot of the same things she wants to do. So as you can see in here, it's building out the table by day. We've got the breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. I love it. Now, something that I'm seeing in here is it's not following what I want as far as protein, carbs, and all my macros. So it's actually not abiding by that. So this is a part of that error, and maybe it's something that I did in the prompt, but as I look at it, I thought I said 200 grams of protein, didn't I? Yep, 200 grams of protein. So this is where there's error in the data, at least from what I'm seeing. So I'm going to say, and then I'll skip on to the next slide, but great. But can you update the meal plan so that I hit my daily macros of 200 grams of protein? I think it was 180 grams of carbs and less than 50 grams of fat. Was that what I wanted? It's been a while since I've dieted. All right. So let's see if we can get the first table, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so I'm gonna have to ask it to put it in a table again. Let's see. 44 grams, 48 grams, 26 grams. So yeah, it still didn't hit it. 135 grams. Wow. I'm gonna have to put some protein shakes in there. So I'm gonna stop generating that. All right, so another thing here, content ideas. This is one of the main benefits of Chat GPT, and especially here at LeadHub, this is something that I use it for on a regular basis. So I always like to introduce the rubber duck concept from an engineering standpoint or a programming standpoint. When you have a web development shop and you've got 10 web developers, you need to optimize the amount of time that your developers are working on their project. Well, what you're always going to have is a lead developer, a developer, and a junior developer is typically a format there. And when the junior developer needs help, you want to avoid having them become reliant upon their team leads, and you want them to start thinking for themselves. So one of the common things of any development shop is, hey, you got a minute? Hey, can you help me out with this? Hey, boss, can you come look at this? And so a great way to save time is put the rubber duck concept into play and say, great, hey, I'd love to help you. Have you talked to the duck yet? And basically putting the rubber duck on their desk and saying, before you talk to me and take me away from what I'm doing, let's actually do some critical thinking and just talk it out, because I believe in you. You've got the answers, but you're just looking for a quick way out. Think through it with the rubber duck. And so then you have a conversation with the duck about, okay, well, did I check the closed spans? Maybe there's an open span somewhere. Maybe the PHP, there's an issue with one of the PHP scripts. And then you can start talking it out instead of bringing another developer off of their project to help you with yours. So with that said, ChatGPT is the perfect rubber duck. So for content planning, email marketing, the one thing we don't really know about, it's jury SEO. And my issue with that is, from my perspective, you can write content for SEO, But if you're writing it using a Microsoft-based OpenAI Chat GPT tool, if there's any kind of watermark behind that, Google is going to devalue that content, just hypothetically speaking. I don't know if it's happening yet. I know they're putting out guidelines against it, but at the end of the day, they're going to devalue that in the same way that Google devalues duplicate content. If you're copying content from another company that's similar to you but 1,000 miles away, Google's going to see that. And while on a one-to-one basis, they really don't have the algorithm strong enough to where they can really dox you or deduct points in the algorithm against you. But on scale, if we're an HVAC marketing company and all of our clients' websites have the same content and we've got 200 websites, absolutely, they're all going to get devalued because it's duplicate content. I'm going to show this video here. So I told it to act as an HVAC marketing company for Cozy Air, and I asked it basically to draft out some good ideas on reaching out to our club members within the HVAC space. It's common in the down season, like in March, and when it starts to get cold in October, you want to start getting tune-ups ready. And so this is an outreach strategy for us to get our club memberships, who pay us a small fee on a monthly basis, to get their tune-ups scheduled, because we don't want to be doing tune-ups during the hot season and the cold season. We want to be replacing units, replacing furnaces, and we want to make sure that we're doing the more high-ticket items. And so when it's really, really hot, a lot of people need HVAC replaced immediately and sometimes same day. So we don't want the technicians wasting time going and just doing a tune-up for 180 bucks. We want those tune-ups to be done when they're not as busy, and we want to fill the board during these times. So then it gave me some ideas. Great, phone calls, emails, social, direct mail, referral program. So then I said, all right, now let's refine it. As the best air conditioning company in San Antonio, let's craft a 3 email sequence to our club members, with the goal being to convert them into a booked appointment. So it's going to come up with subject line, the email format, and actually have the whole email content. I'm gonna let it go. And so some things that I would do here to refine it for a specific brand, after we get these emails down, I say, great, now we call our club members cozy family, or cozy members, or something like that, or our cozy club members. Refine the emails with that in there, and so then it's going to change the brand name. Then I'm going to say something along the lines of, great, make the first email more friendly and appropriate to just a light touch. The second email, make it more, and we can't really use the word aggressive with Chat GPT, but make it more sales oriented, and talk about the value in us getting this done when it's not busy and we don't have the extreme weather. And then the last one, now use exclusivity or the fact that we don't have that much time left in March or in the spring to get this done. And so we have limited spots available. Capacity wise, let's kind of have more of an aggressive sales tone. And then you can have fun with it and say, hey, write this in the voice of Grant Cardone, or write this in a very aggressive style based on the personality. Write it in Joe Rogan's voice or whatever. But that's where it's very important to understand your brand and the way that you write content, and emulating that brand and asking Chat GPT to think from that perspective and actually write content that way. So actually, let's make sure All right, so coding. Yes, coding. And I am not a developer. Back in 2006, I used to think I was like a PHP developer, and I got really good at breaking websites, which means I can fix them, but I can't really build them from scratch. But we came up with a few really cool things here using Chat GPT. One of our developers, our team lead here, Edric, wrote one for a Google Reviews API, because we store the review number or the star number at the top of our client websites. Well, we want to pull that directly from Google, and ChatGPT was able to get it about 80% of the way. It needs a lot of manual supervision, of course, but writing an API that basically, or a script that basically accesses their API, pulls in the review count, stores it in our WordPress database, and then puts it on the front end of the website. And that's like a cron job that can run, daily if we want it to run on a regular basis. Then I actually used it to create this Python script that I mentioned earlier, where we use HubSpot for our primary CRM here at LeadHub, and then we use QuickBooks Online for all our billing. Well, sometimes if our team members need to know, does a client have an outstanding invoice, or did we overbill, underbill? What's their ad spend at? They don't have access to our QuickBooks, so I want to push some of these invoices into HubSpot. And so I actually had it write this, and this is what that is there of writing a script using Python for QuickBooks Online. And then another one, like just HTML code audits, having it review. You can copy and paste your code in there, what's wrong with this code, and it'll give you that feedback. So this is a really, really interesting, from my perspective, use case that I built out in about 15 minutes the other day, and it's utilizing Zapier. And so one of the issues, or one of the hurdles that our clients have, is when they get reviews, responding to those reviews in an appropriate way. It seems really simple, but like our team currently, when we get any kind of review, we get a Slack notification in our Slack channel for the client, and our team can go in and respond for the client. And for me, I'm looking at efficiency, and I'm wondering, well, how can I automate that? And so built out a quick zap using Google Business Profile or Google My Business. They rebranded in Zapier using OpenAI, the Chat GPT, and then pushing it back to Google My Business. So basically what I asked the other night during this presentation was I asked two people to write a review on Google within the audience, and they're two people I've known for years, and asked just, hey, how has LeadHub helped you, and how have I helped you with your marketing? And so Juan and Polo both wrote reviews for us. And I'll go ahead and show you, and I think what's better to do is I'm going to stitch in a video here that shows the day after, because that night at the presentation, it actually took about 5 to 10 minutes for it to populate, and I sat here waiting for 3 minutes, refreshing in front of everybody, and took a lot of time. So all that said, I'm going to stitch another video in here at this point, and we're going to keep going. Hey, so last night during the presentation, we had this Zapier automation that I had built out, and it didn't post my review responses, and it did post it as soon as I was done and got off of Zoom. So there must have been a little bit of a longer delay than the 3 minutes that I had built in there. So with all that said, it did reply to the reviews that we got from Juan and Polo, and I just want to showcase what it wrote. Here it talks about Juan, and Juan mentioned his company Landscapes of Texas and some of the results that we did for him, and it really does a good job of emulating exactly what he said. And it also, by doing that, makes it seem way more like it's an automated response and done by Chat GPT, because it really does echo a lot of what Juan says here. So for me, it's a little bit of an inauthentic response. It mentions at LeadHub, we're always pushing the boundaries of latest technology tools and innovations. Completely unnecessary in this review response. So you can see it's going to do the same thing for Polo. And in my prompt, I do say at LeadHub, we focus on revenue growth and business growth. I would remove that now, because I think it's creating manufactured responses here. Another thing that you'll see when Polo has his review, in my reply, it actually misspells his name. So not only is it a personal issue of me misspelling things, but now ChatGPT is misspelling things. And you can see specifically, like, I pulled in his name, so there's no reason ChatGPT should have misspelled it. But the same issue that I had with the other one with Wands is, as a team at LeadHub, we were all focused on helping our clients grow their business and seeing positive results. And it makes all the hard work worth it. So I don't like that. But it is unique enough to where it doesn't seem completely manufactured. It's just somebody that's a little high on their own supply with technical knowledge. So it does work. Even though it didn't work last night, it just absolutely had a longer delay than expected.
but this is something that is a cool use case for Chat GPT. I'm going to go in and actually edit these review replies, but from an immediacy standpoint, could be a really good thing for restaurants and other industries that need quick review responses. All right, have a great one.
All right. Here's another really cool tool that I love. This is a client of ours that they're a coaching company for the trades. They do these leadership Q&As every single week. It's closed just for their members. And it's typically an hour long, and I love their content. I love listening in, but sometimes I personally don't have the time or capacity to listen into the full thing. And it also helps just to get a quick breakdown. So this Synth app is a tool that I use on a daily basis for all my meetings, and then any kind of long form YouTube videos. This is what it can do. So I'll go to the video. I'm going to grab the URL, and I'm simply going to paste the URL into this Synth app. And what you're going to see is it's going to break down this hour-long video into chapters. And so you'll see live how it goes. So then in here, you can prompt to say, all right, well, give me the action items, or give me a summary, or write an email. And so on this one, what was the number one takeaway from the video? And I think it's important to say, I'm going to pause this here. It's important to say, so this Synth tool is their own tool that they've built on their servers. And what they're doing is they're pulling in the text from the YouTube video, and they're storing the text on their database. And then, and then using an API, they're using Chat GPT to answer these prompts. So all this Ask Synth is really just in the same way that I crafted responses using Chat GPT to those reviews. They're doing the same thing here using this Ask Synth thing. So it's basically scanning the entire chat log of what happened in this hour. And I said, okay, what's the number one takeaway? The number one takeaway is that every budget should be a living and breathing thing. It should be adjusted. It will positively influence cash flow, increase sales, lower expenses, or maintain client retention. So while that's really cool, I probably need to ask some more questions to get a full understanding of what they mean by budget, because this is the 4 functions of a manager. So I would have to lean in here and find out, okay, are we talking about overall budget? Are we talking about the business budget? Are we talking about advertising? And ask some prompts here. I'm going to show you another use case for this. So then I say, craft a quick email summary to my AE, who our account executive here at LeadHub, and I put Marissa Vargas here, who she's actually on our fulfillment side. But just as an example, if I needed to write an email to Marissa, hey Marissa, I wanted to quickly summarize the video we watched on 4 functions of a manager. So crafts that email, I can copy and paste it in. I'd likely need to review it myself and edit it because, again, ChatGPT is not perfect. But that's another use case, is Synth. And so I think it's important to know also, Synth is layered. It's a different tool than ChatGPT. It's simply using ChatGPT for the prompting and the Q&A type stuff. Something that I told everybody the other night, and I do not practice this, so please understand I have not done this because I was being silly, but I highly recommend, as I show you all these tools that are being created on top of AI and using APIs to connect to ChatGPT, I do think it's important that you create a fake Gmail address or use a Gmail address that is not connected to your work emails or your bank, like any kind of emails that you have that are like private emails, because we don't know where these developers are coming from. And if they're developing a lot of tools that are supposed to be, AI oriented, we want to protect our data. And a lot of them use Google Auth, where you can authenticate using your Google sign-in, which means it has visibility to your emails, your contacts, your calendar, and you just don't want to give away the farm, because even this Synth tool, as much as I like it, I don't know the developers. I don't know who they are. And so this is just me preaching, be careful. I mean, we're coming out of the crypto thing with FTX and a lot of stuff there where Crypto as a whole has a lot of good applications, and there are really good things within the crypto community. But this wholehearted, really good movement got taken advantage of by a lot of bad actors. And I do think the same thing is happening in AI. And so you've got to protect your data. But the easiest way for them to get it is by you signing up for their tool and giving it to them. I paint a rosy picture, don't I? So here's some tools that I really like. All things AI, AI Cyclopedia. I already mentioned Synth and Chat GPT. I just want to show you really all things AI. And this is a library of just AI tools that people are developing. Exactly what I just mentioned, the people that you don't know who they are. So I'd do some research before you give them your information. But you know, some of these teams like Fathom, I know I've heard of Fathom as well. But you want to look at, do they have more than 3 pages on their website? If they only have 3 pages on their website and you don't know who's funding it or who's behind it, you may want to be careful with signing up for it. There's this GPT for slides. I will also say for everything outside of image generation, I have found that I do better work with Chat GPT directly. Jasper.ai is a really cool tool that a lot of copywriters use. And really what it does is it has templates over the top of Chat GPT. And they got really cool branding. They've got a lot of big names in here that they've worked with, and they've been around for a while already. But what I found as I was using it is that Chat GPT is giving me better results. And just gets more the way that it learns, the way that you're able to keep these chats in the same one. So like as I talk about an AI response, this one I was wondering about, is it against Google's guidelines to respond to reviews? If I keep engaging with Chat GPT in this same thread, it remembers everything that's happening in this thread, and I can just continue to keep prompting it in that way. So a use case for me would be if I have an HVAC client here in San Antonio, I would keep one chat open and I would have Chat GPT understand, because as you see, these are all different chats. I would have Chat GPT understand, this is my Champion AC chat. And here's the Champion AC voice. Here's a Champion AC pricing structure. Here's where they're located. And then anything throughout that chat, Chat GPT is able to keep it siloed into that conversation. As I go back through here, oh yeah, all things AI. I'll probably won't be able to find it here, but one of the things that I really like about this too is they've got some spreadsheet stuff. So if you really struggle with like spreadsheets and understanding how to implement AI into spreadsheets, I know they've got some in here. Here we go. Probably should have looked alphabetically. So they've got like Excel formula bot, which is one that I used. So instead of having to write out the formula or build it out yourself, you simply can prompt it to draft the formula for you. And that's a really, really cool skill. Sheet Plus is another one I've used that's really good. Formula God has some pretty cool branding, so I might be signing up for that. Wow, interesting. Formula God, Sheet God. Okay. AI Cyclopedia is just another one that's similar to all things AI. All right, so then I went through the questions and answers, and you know, the main question that I got from Chad, one of our members here in EO San Antonio, is just about the bias, and is there a bias with AI and Chat GPT? And honestly, I would say yes. I would say there is a bias based on the articles of knowledge that it has access to. And if we're looking at the internet, everything September 2021 and beforehand, if you're just looking at volume or more trusted documentation, if you're asking it about a specific subject, it is going to be biased. If you talk about, you know, World War II, it's going to have biases based on the data that it's pulling and the way that you're asking the question. I mean, if you ask a question that's leaning towards one side of the war as a positive, it may respond in some of those ways that talks about some good things that happen from that side of it. So I do believe that there's a native bias in ChatGPT, but it's really based on the breadth of the content that it has to scan and everything that's out there on the web. So you can also train it to have bias by the chat. So if you are in that same chat and are continuing to have a conversation based on your lens, you can train it to have its own bias. It's all about how you ask questions. So those are some of the main things that came out of it. We are going to be doing in EO San Antonio a panel here in March where I'll be interviewing a few other people that are using AI on in their daily basis. But I think even though I am more of a pessimist, or I kind of talk down stuff, I do think this is revolutionary, and some of the things that we can be using AI and Chat GPT for can really save time. And it is definitely a little bit of a threat to the digital marketers or the white collar jobs, and I'm hearing a lot of content about that now, and I think that it is a good thing. I think you need to embrace it. I think we just need to keep in mind that we need to keep our critical thinking skills at hand, and I want to keep that top of mind that it is not something that we should rely on 24/7, but it is great for ideation. So I hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. I know we're coming up on about 55 minutes, so thank you for your time if you got all the way through it.